It's been a long time since I've done a do-it-yourself video. Well, I think the last one was the wheel bearing, which was the passenger side. So I'm gonna do brakes. I'm doing rotors, pads, brake flush, which I think the brake flush might be separate. But I went with Zimmerman something Z coated or something type of coated rotors, TRW ceramic pads. There's the rear rotor. I got the complete kit from FCPEURO. It's the first time I ordered from them, and they have that lifetime warranty thing. I went with ATE 200 type of fluid, and I have my vacuum power bleeder type thing. So first off, you want to get your vehicle off the ground. First off, I'm going to loosen this. It's a Torx 30. I like to put it in a wrench and just even pressure and crack it loose. So we'll crack that loose. And these are 13 millimeter, I believe. Yeah, those are 13s, and this big carrier bolt is a 21. Looks pretty straightforward getting them off, just like most Volkswagens. So that's where we're going to start. Okay, let's see if this comes off nice and easy. And that cracked loose really good. So I'm not going to take it completely off, so whenever I completely remove this doesn't fall off. I live in Pennsylvania, so it might not fall off. But a drier, no salt climate, it'll probably fall off and it could bang you in the knee or your finger or something. Alright, so we got the wheel turned. Let's see here. These shouldn't be very tight. Should be able to just Oop, I forgot. I'm gonna need, I think that's a 15 or 17 wrench to hold that. Kind of narrow. Well, I lost my real thin profile 17 millimeter. I have no clue where it went, so I found this cheap, crappy crescent wrench and machined it with a grinder. So now it fits good. These aren't very tight, so you're kind of just keeping it from rotating. That way you don't tear those boots. And my wrench might have just failed. Yeah, once you get those loose. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to replace these. I just noticed there's a Torx in the end. I think that's a 40, maybe 50. These ones are a little different. The ones that came with the kit, they actually look like they're probably the same. I think there's this thread locker on there, which I'll probably just put blue thread lock on these again. I'm gonna reuse them. You're not supposed to reuse them, but I've been reusing them since my Mark IV, Mark V, and I've never had an issue with them. Same with the big carrier bolts. I reuse them. The only ones I don't reuse anymore are the strut pinch bolts, which actually I did reuse these, so that's a lie. Alright, let's get this top one off. Alright, remove the bolts, and see, sliders, they're sliding nice, good. I'm not even going to pop those off and replace the grease. There's no signs of it leaking. The boots are tight, so I'm not going to worry about replacing that. Maybe it's stupid not to. Alright, next I'm going to see if I can loosen the big 21 millimeters with just a wrench. If not, I'll throw the impact gun on it. I'm trying to do it without it. We'll see if it comes loose. Make sure I'm going the correct way. Well, that was pretty good. Do that bottom one, which is hard to see. Bottom one's right here. So, and those felt really loose. And I'm not going to sit there and turn them out. With that, I'm going to put it on an impact gun and run them out. And again, I'm just using this just to run them out quicker. But I'm going to thread them back in. I don't want to take them all the way out. We're going to rock this caliper off. You're going to want to set this up so it doesn't fall. So I'm going to get some mechanics wire and rig up something to hold that. There you go, whole piece of mechanic wire. We're just going to put it up to here. This is just a this up out of the way, keep it from falling, keeping that line from getting all banged up. Should be okay like that. Now we can completely remove, well, let's remove the pads first. Let's remove everything. How about that? Just gonna leave those there. Carriers out. My pads were pretty bad. They were starting to squeal. Well, this side was the only side that was starting to squeal. Yeah, they were shot. Not bad. I went 54,000 miles. And there's pretty much what, 2 millimeters left maybe. Wore pretty evenly too. Inside's a little bit thinner, which is expected. I got this nasty ridge right here, which I'm curious what that rotor looks like. Alright, now we finished taking this off. I don't think the rotor was going to fall. Like I said, I live in Pennsylvania and she's stuck on there. That's what it needed. copper anti-seize. I'm barely touching the surface. I don't want it getting onto the rotors from heat. You definitely don't want anti-seize on your rotors. Okay, I got my new rotor. I wiped it down, wiped the braking surface down with brake cleaner. And I probably should have put gloves on because my hands are greasy now. But you don't want to get any grease or anything on the brake surface. And I like to just, I can feel that anti-seize working just a little bit. So we're going to line that up. What are our torques? 30. Back in. Okay, so I wire brushed those slider surfaces. Once again, Pennsylvania loves to salt the road, so it corrodes the hell out of anything steel, aluminum, anything metal. So that's what I got. So I realized brake pad sensor must be on the passenger side. So we'll take the new pads, and again you can see the difference between old and new. That's definitely a lot. And I'm going to apply brake contact grease, or whatever you want to call that stuff, to these little metal spring sliders, basically all these edges. The kit comes with ATE Plastilube, some type of brake stuff. I'm going to put the carrier on first, and then we'll mess with the grease. Let's see if I can rotate this. And I said you're not supposed to touch the rotor with greasy hands, and I just did it. So I'm going to have to clean the rotor off again. Tighten this up a little tighter. Whoops. You take your new carrier bolts, thread them in. And I'm going to cheat and just run them in with this. And those are going to need torque to specs, which I got to find that out real quick. I think it's, I want to say it's 90, but I think it's more than 90. Okay, I lied. I checked my manual online, and these are not recommended. Well, the manual says they're not to be replaced. If you're going to reuse them, clean the threads, I guess, and reuse them. And I thought it was 90 foot-pounds. It's 200 newton meters, which is 140 foot-pounds. I have to look that up again. So they're really high, and I think it's almost the same as the axles, which I don't think my torque wrench goes up that high. I have this old-fashioned manual torque wrench I think I'll have to use. So I'm going to find that and grab it and torque those to spec. It goes to 150 foot-pounds, so once I peg this out, it should technically be torqued. this on and we'll tighten this. .200 newton meters is 147 point something. So as soon as it hits 150, which that bottom hit 150, calling it good. This one I'm at the lay down to do, or use my foot. And I should be able to get the final get it now. Okay. So those are at 147, 150-ish. Most likely next time I rotate my tires, I'm going to recheck them just to be safe. I should spend the money on a good torque wrench. I think the crappy one I have only goes to 120. So put some brake grease in here on the back side, and then we'll pop our pads on. Kind of start that spring, push it in, and it seats. Yeah, you can kind of see where the we'll do once we get the front on. Front pad. Put a little bit of grease right here and right there. That's it. Pads in place. They seem super thick. And like I said, my carrier pins, slider pins, they seem in really good shape. Next we're gonna put the caliper on, which I'm gonna have to open the reservoir and push the fluid, push this piston in. Well, I just noticed something. My boot came unseated from around the piston, so that throws a wrench and stuff. Which I had this happen when I bought this car with I bought it with 12,000 some odd miles. I think at 14 or 16,000 miles this carrier started hanging up, or this caliper started hanging up, so I knocked the piston out and the piston was all corroded, which I think I'm probably gonna have to get a new caliper. But for now, I'm gonna remove the caliper. I'm gonna push this piston out, clean it up again, and reseat that boot. and it's not leaking, so I mean that's good that those seals aren't blown out, but this dust boot is definitely could possibly be causing a dragging issue, or eventually will. Alright, well I am on the passenger side, and I just realized I forgot, since I had that issue with the caliper, I had to take the caliper off. I forgot to demonstrate how to push the piston back in with the brake tool. So we're going to do that now. And I'm just going to carefully set this up here. Probably should have this tied, but alright, so that should fit there. Again, I have the brake reservoir uncapped or off. So put this in. This should push in real easy, and it is. But you're just going to push this in until it stops. And we're about there. And that's it. Back it off a little bit. And that's it. Alright, I'm back again on the passenger side, which I thought that's where the brake pad sensor was, which these brake pads came with sensors, well, a sensor, and I guess I do not have brake pad sensors on the Alltrack, which I think the last car I had that had brake pad sensors was my Mark 5 maybe, or Mark 4. But all I did was just basically unplug it from the pad. So just wanted a little update and throw that in the video. That 2017 Alltrack does not have brake pad sensors. Alright, got the piston back in. Again, I gotta replace this caliper, or at least it's probably not even worth doing a rebuild kit for it. Got the boot reinstalled, the dust boot reinstalled. It's nice and even now, not pulling out. Again, it must have just hit that, once it got past that spot, it kicked that boot out. So now we can put this back on, which I am going to reuse my old bolts. I don't want to use those ones, they're a little different, so I'm going to reuse these. Actually, before I do that, I want to put a little bit of brake grease here, here, and just a little ring on the surface. Smooth it in, smooth it in. Alright, so put this on. The other one. Okay, got both these bolts started. They're 35, torque spec's 35 newton meters or 25 point something foot-pounds. So Okay, I got my torque wrench. $25. Camera's in the way. $25. And then I gotta attach my line and bleed it, but that's another video. We just gotta torque that down, which I think it's like 7 inch-pounds. I don't even know where it went. So I'm just gonna make it hand tight. That should be fine. So had a little hiccup with the caliper, but doing the front brakes on Mark 7, well, it's Alltrack specific, which I'm pretty sure most of them are the same. I'm just going to clean up some of my handprints here. Again, make sure your dust shield isn't hitting. That's pretty straightforward.